What's up? What's up? What's up, party people? Welcome back to another Thursday episode of Clapback Culture. I'm your girl, Julia Jessie, alongside my co-host, JC from the OVT. What's up, my brother? Happy
What up?
Thursday, bro.
What up? What up? Y'all know friendly neighborhood Negro Jay Carrington, aka JC. Happy is it Thursday? Happy Thursday, yeah, because it's Thursday because we're doing the show. Happy Thursday, y'all. How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
Happy Thursday, Friday Eve. Friday
Friday
Eve.
Eve. I like that better. It's Friday Eve.
When we get to Thursday, I always think, golly, this was such a quick week. Another quick week. This is last week of January.
It is. It's the last week of the greatest season on Earth, man. Capricorn season.
Capricorn season. Oh gosh. Listen, Capricorns go hard, bro. I had no idea.
We do.
I think it's my son is a Capricorn, so I'll have to celebrate and support that with y'all.
Exactly. And he's gonna make you lots of money. So I mean, like, that's the best part. Like, that's what we do.
So far, so good. I like these Capricorns. Cheers to you Capricorns out here.
Cheers.
Cheers. Okay. I love a good coffee mug. So tell me what does your mug say? What's your mug?
This is my Wonder Woman mug. I have a Batman. I have a Wonder Woman.
Oh, love that.
I have Aquaria. Y'all are very interesting people, and we'll leave it at that. And then I have
Happy early birthday.
Happy early birthday. And then I got one more mug. Oh, my Nightmare Before Christmas mug is like probably my favorite mug to drink out of because it changes color based on the temperature, but it's dirty. It's in the dishwasher. So switch the
My favorite mug is my Golden Girls mug. With
okay.
all my Golden Girls on it. And I like it, one, because it's the Golden Girls, and who doesn't like them? Right. And two, because of the size. But I also don't like matching coffee cups. I like all of them to be different. Okay. I don't like none of them to match. So I like it like little trinkets with things and stuff. I like them to be unique. Okay. No one in my house drinks warm drinks except for me. So no one minds it.
What up, Darnell? What's going on, man?
What's up, Darnell? What's up, everybody? You guys, thank you again for tuning in. We love the support. Always, always, always. But look, we're not going to keep jibber jabbering. We're going to get straight into these topics. In case you missed it, guess what? Netflix is for real this time. They are going to crack down on these passwords, you guys. We got less than 10 weeks left to let our moms, our brothers, or anyone outside of our house to use that Netflix login for free, because Netflix is coming for our head. The terms of service mention that subscribers who pay for the account should control the devices used on the account and not share their login credentials. But of course, ain't nobody listening to the terms of conditions. But Netflix is starting to crack down. Of course, I told you guys about this once before. But they're saying, listen, no more sharing this. They rolled out this plan and tested it out in Latin America and Argentina. And they tried to see how it was going to work. Okay, now they're here in the US. It's a little bit confusing, JC, on how they're going to set up the charges to see like who's using what, because you can you can have Netflix on so many different devices, and you can use Netflix outside of the country if you're traveling or otherwise. So it's a little bit confusing on how they're going to enforce it. But basically, they're coming for us, and you're going to have to pay an additional $3 to have a shared account per month.
I always think it's funny because, like, how long has Netflix been around now? Like, I feel like it might be approaching too big. I feel like it's like maybe 12, 15 years ish. I feel like maybe
Netflix been in the game for a minute.
Yeah. And I remember specifically they said that they wouldn't penalize. They wouldn't penalize people for password sharing. And that was a whole big thing. And everybody's like, we lied. We was joking. Psych. And I'm just like, how is this? I think I read an article about how they were trying to figure out if this is going to be a positive thing or a negative thing for Netflix, right? Because the whole thing is, if the goal of Netflix is to get revenue, then yeah, sure, that makes sense. But if the goal of Netflix is to get eyes on screens, then this doesn't make sense. And I think the bet here is that Netflix has grown to a point where they've solidified themselves in such a way that they're a staple now. So, if something drops on Netflix, they've got enough legacy content that, people are going to want to pay finally. Finally, because I can't tell you how long I had a Netflix password before I had a Netflix account. This was several years. So, like, I think that's the bet. They're like, okay, y'all know what we do now, so everybody pay up. And I'm just like, well, I don't know. Like, Squid Games is coming back out. I just saw something. Season 3 is happening. What else? There's a few things Netflix has got up in the works now. So I'm like, maybe. I'm one of the few people that, like I said, I now have a Netflix account and I share my account with my mom. So we'll see how it works. I don't,
But it makes more sense. Like, if you're the only one in your household and you want to share it with somebody else who they're the only one in their household, it's like, why can't we just share this account? I don't want my own account. I mean, we in my immediate family, we all share. So I have Apple TV and I share that. My mom has Hulu, she shares that, and my brother has Netflix and he shares that. So combined, we just all share the subscriptions.
Right.
I don't see why I'm being penalized for that.
Right. Because I'm like, what do we do? I have Hulu and I share that with my old roommate who shares his Stars. And for a long time, I used my friend's password for Disney Plus. And I think I gave him my Hulu password. So like, it's a whole bunch of password sharing. Like, that's just what you do. Like, it's not before I subscribe to something. What's up?
Not to mention. So, and here's another thing too. Like, I have this on all my devices in the house. So every TV in this house has the Netflix, the Hulu, and the Apple TV. So it's, I mean, to your earlier point, Netflix is not going to lose money off this base, because there's no way I'm going to go without Netflix. If I'm honest, do I want to pay my own $12.99 a month or whatever it costs? No. Will I? Absolutely. Like, there's just, I'm not going to go without it. And I think they're banking on the fact that we are so loyal to the content that comes out. There's just no way we're going to go without it.
Yeah, I can't do it on my Netflix. Maybe my Hulu, my Disney Plus, but like Netflix is like, even if I don't watch it for like 2 or 3 weeks, it's like, you don't got you don't got Netflix. You haven't seen it. It's Netflix.
Okay. Before we move on to the next topic, what are you watching right now on Netflix? Give us one show.
The show that I binged and I had to make myself stop watching it was Elite, which is
I didn't watch that.
Elite is very good. Well, at least the first 3 seasons. The 4th season kind of goes and then I haven't watched the 5th and the 6th because the 4th season was disappointing. But the first 3 seasons of Elite, if you like good telenovela-esque like drama, Elite. Like I was glued. Like I went through 4 seasons of that show in 2 weeks. Like I was hooked. Like, so that. And you don't have to read. Some people don't like to read, but you know what I'm saying, you don't have to read.
So it's your subtitles.
You can put it in English. You can put it in English, but like I speak Spanish, so I like to listen and learn and
Okay, got it. Okay, so you staying sharp. I like that. I like that.
What about you?
My top thing. Well, the last thing I watched on Netflix that I was binge watching was Love Island, which is terrible trash TV that's so good and trashy.
Is that the same thing with Death Boy Island? Is that 2 different ones?
It's reality TV. It's not. It's just a bunch of people hooking up and trying to like falling in love in 2 weeks and crying about it. It's like 22-year-old kids just it's like the real world on steroids in Fiji. Anyway, but love Netflix. I literally watch everything on there. I just binge watch everything. There's also, I mean, I just really like reality TV. It's just drama. You can put it on and you don't have to like watch.
Pay
But I
attention to it.
also
Yeah.
was watching what is it called? It's not Love is Blind. Um where they get married at the altar. Married
Uh,
at First Sight.
Married at First
That's
Sight. I
that's, that's one of the last things I watched.
somebody told me about that show, and I'm just like, I hate reality TV. So I can't. It's hard for me to get into any of it. Like it's very, very difficult for me. Only
If
because
I'm
I've
not watching
seen.
reality TV, I like
Mhm.
movies.
Okay, movies is cool. I personally have been on set filming for reality TV, so it's like
Mm.
I know how fake it is. Like I've seen
Oh,
someone film a fight scene 3 different times from 3 different angles. So it's just like once you see, like once you peek behind the curtain and you see the old
yeah.
man behind the projector, it's not the same. Like it's not the
It's
same.
not the same. Oh,
No.
don't tell me. I don't want to go across that third wall.
I know producers
I
and
want to,
everything. Like I know
yeah.
producers and directors of some of your favorite hip hop. Your oops, see there I go. But of some of your favorite reality TV shows. So there you go.
It's like when you found out wrestling was fake and you're like, what?
I feel
This
like I
is,
always knew it was fake though, but I enjoyed it anyway.
we knew it was fake, but we didn't
A
talk about it anymore.
confirmation. Right, right, right.
The
That part.
confirmation that it was fake. All right, y'all. Listen, like I said, 10 more weeks. Get your login and password together.
Get it together, man.
Moving forward, let me see, because this is such a strong transition. We're going to transition to something a little lighter. The Senate Ticketmaster hearing was this week, you guys, where Taylor Swift fans showed up and showed the hell out. And so basically, the Senate Judiciary Committee held its much anticipated hearing into Live Nation slash Ticketmaster, because Live Nation is the parent company of Ticketmaster. And really, they held the hearing because of the lack of competition in the ticket industry. Critics have long accused Ticketmaster of being a monopoly. Especially this kind of really showed its way out when Taylor Swift fans were trying to get that ticket to Swift's The Eras tour in November, when long wait times happen, huge fees. The website crashed and went out and left thousands of fans frustrated and empty handed. So now lawmakers, and not just because of this, but this is, something that lawmakers really brought up in the hearing. But they grilled the entertainment executives and the antitrust experts on some of the things that people were protesting about, and saying like, we need to break up this monopoly because consumers are not being protected. There's a lot of different investigations. In fact, there's a lot of attorney generals in several states launched consumer protection investigations, and they're calling Ticketmaster to be broken up so that this monopoly doesn't happen. We're a capitalist country. We have to have healthy competition, and right now, as it sits, there is no healthy competition. So this was a good hearing. It's a really, really good oversight hearing.
I just want to say, once again, we're shown that the way to effect change in this country is to make a white woman uncomfortable, and or disadvantage her in some way. So that's the
So glad
secret.
you said that.
So that's the secret. We're doing things wrong, black people. We need more white women on our side. Aside, all jokes aside, they're right. Like I don't know who else do you get your tickets from, but Ticketmaster. I vividly remember it was Ticketmaster and it was Live Nation, and now that they're together, it's like, who do you buy? If the venue that you're attending or the venue that's hosting the talent doesn't have a ticket sale of their own, then you have to go through Ticketmaster. And I remember artists from all genres saying like Ticketmaster, especially since they StubHub is another one, but
No,
StubHub is a
because StubHub is third party. So
oh
StubHub allows for the resale. Those are all third party.
oh
So it's Ticketmaster. Well, excuse me. StubHub may be a direct because Ticketmaster controls at least 70% for ticketing for live events. However,
Okay.
I still believe that StubHub is third party. Darnell I'm pretty sure it's third party, but we'll go with that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go
But
with
yeah,
that.
but even in that though, like that, how many options is that? Like that's not, that's not, it's not fair to anybody. Actually, it's not fair to the consumer. It's not fair to the artist. Hell, it ain't even really fair to the venue, because if snafus like this happen with the Taylor Swift situation, then the venue doesn't get the patronage, right? So it's not fair
Yeah.
to anyone. So I totally agree with everybody saying like, hey, let's investigate this. I just really hate that this is the thing that is the partisan kind of like reaching over the aisle to be like, oh yes, let's disband Ticketmaster. Like, we got all of this crap going on in this country and you can agree on Ticketmaster, like, of all things. Okay, whatever. I guess, yeah, because everybody loves to be entertained, I suppose. But
100%. And I think you're absolutely right. And I'm glad that you brought up that this is also having a huge effect on artists, because they don't get to have any kind of say so as well. And some of the venue owners have also said that they feel they vocalize some what is it called? If they don't want to use the Ticketmaster,
yeah.
Live Nation, then they feel that Ticketmaster or Live Nation kind of like, outcasts them on the next thing, and like, basically unfairly treats them the next go around if they do want to work with them in the long run. So this is something that we need to break out. And it does need to be able to protect consumers. We should not be paying all these extra fees. I think they said 27% of the ticket for that Taylor Swift ticket included some of these like arduous fees of like some stuff that you couldn't even, like, you didn't know what it was for. So we need some healthy competition. We absolutely need to break this up, and I think it's going to be better for business overall. So this is a good meeting. The outcome of this hearing is that, one, is just a hearing for now, but a part of this is like, it's like oversight season. So you meet with these committees meet to say, here's these problems. We're going to call you back to see if you fixed it. So we'll see. We'll keep up with this story and see how it goes, because the pressure is going to be on to get these entertainment executives to kind of break this up and make this better for consumers and to help carve out some more skin in the game.
And you were right. Darnell says it's owned by eBay and it is a reseller. So you were correct.
Thank you, Darnell, for the quick research. But StubHub is still a good spot. But imagine StubHub has to source firsthand to sell to us. So it's like, imagine how much more we're paying just to have access.
Just digital scalping, but the legal way. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like one of those things. And it, like you said, they don't verify the ticket's legitimacy either. So like, there's a huge potential for fraud. Huge potential for fraud. So yeah, it again is break it up. There you go.
All right, we're gonna skip through a little bit because we're already at 10:23. Can you imagine? Oh, excuse me, and 9:23 if you're on the West Coast. Or sorry, 7:23 if you're on the West Coast. I do want to bring this up, this Tyree Nichols story, you guys. This is a crazy, crazy, crazy story. We do have a video, but before we go to the video, in case you haven't heard and you've been living under a rock, 5 former Memphis police officers were indicted today on charges of murder and kidnapping, second-degree murder in Memphis, Tennessee, you guys, in the death of Tyree Nichols. And this subsequently happened earlier this month, where Nichols, he's a 29-year-old Black man. He was hospitalized after a traffic stop and confrontation with Memphis officers that the family attorney says turned into a savage beating. We do have a video on really just these cities kind of bearing down in preparation for the body camera footage to be released. So let's take a look at the video. We'll come back and we'll talk about it.
With the city of Memphis and the country on edge tonight, CBS News has learned that police chiefs in major cities across the country are working together to prepare for the backlash after that arrest video is released. CBS's Jeff Pegues covers law enforcement and is also in Memphis for us tonight. So, Jeff, tell us what you're learning. What are these cities doing to get ready?
Well, law enforcement is really concerned right now about this video and how it's perceived. There is this concern that it could spark protests and demonstrations, and that's why, really since the beginning of this week, you've had a series of calls, information sharing between local PD, Memphis PD, as well as state and federal officials. There's been planning and preparation that began at police departments nationwide, and police departments were told last night that the video would be released Friday evening after schools were out, after businesses were closed for the day. In D.C., the police department there was fully activated. All sworn personnel called in. In New York, the NYPD will go on heightened alert, and officers will be deployed to the hot spots where protests have happened in the past. And just so you know, the video that we're talking about here, I haven't seen the content of the video, but of course it comes from a body cam on police officers across this country. You have to press the button, capture the video. Also, there's what's called a sky cop, which is a fixed camera. So the video that we will see is coming from cameras like that. And Nora, there is concern among law enforcement that what the public sees tomorrow could spark a backlash that law enforcement will have a difficult time recovering from.
Yeah, big concern there. DA saying today could be an hour in length. Jeff Pegues, thank you so much.
All right, y'all. So 5 police officers, JC. They are 5 Black men. If you have not seen their picture plastered all over the media. But basically, the nation and the police chief down in Memphis is concerned of the unrest. The video is supposed to be released tomorrow. So officers have been fired. They are now indicted, and they have the opportunity to turn themselves in. Lawmakers are looking to wrap up the investigation before the video is released. JC, what does this tell us about this video that the world is going to see tomorrow, that they are posturing in this manner?
It tells us that this is bad. It tells us that this is really, really bad. And let me just say that I'll just speak to the elephant in the room. The only reason this is the fastest indictment I've ever seen of officers for a crime, and that's only because it's Black on quote unquote Black. And I hate to say Black on Black crime because it's not an official term. It's not a real thing. Statistically speaking, crime happens between people that looks like each other at higher rates than anything else. That is just statistically a fact.
That's just, white on white crime, Black on Black crime. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing, right? But it's like, when I saw the Twitter, I was like, oh, they're all Black.
I couldn't believe it.
I said, ooh,
Black but bleeding blue.
I said, geez. And this is one of those things where I had a friend who was in training to be a police officer. And he literally was like, he literally said, are you doing it on purpose?
No, that was an accident.
He literally said, he literally said that he decided not to be because of the culture of the blue wall, right? Of because this is a Black Hispanic brother. He's Black and Puerto Rican, right? You know what I'm saying? He grew up in the hood, west side of Chicago. If you know anything about Chicago, it's the west side. And he wanted to become a police officer because he wanted to change. He wanted to be the change that he wanted to see. And he was like, once he actually started to get into it, he couldn't go through with the job. I think he said the last week of training, and it's only like 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. Let's be honest. America has the shortest training for police officers of any developed nation in the world. But he said that he just couldn't go through with it because he was like, he just kept hearing things. And, if you know anything about America, you know anything about Chicago, Chicago is statistically speaking, the most segregated city in America, right? By numbers. And so it's just like, I hate to say it, you know, ACAB, all cops are bad, all cops are bastards. What do you know what I'm saying? I don't believe that wholly and entirely, because I have interacted with good police officers, but unfortunately, the overwhelming majority, I've never heard a song called F the Firemen, F the doctors, F the paramedics. I've never heard any of these songs. And it's like, when we have this constant, even our next story, right? When we have this constant narrative around, I don't even know if I could call it a narrative, because this is true, right? Like, these are things that are actually happening. When we have this constant issue surrounding literally 1% of the population. Police make up 1% of the American population. I'm like, how do we, at what point do we be like, okay, maybe there's a problem. Maybe Houston, maybe we need to do something different, right?
Memphis, there is a problem. Houston, there is a problem. There's a huge
Atlanta.
Yeah. There's a huge problem just in terms of the police culture. And I think, while I hate that this situation happened because a young man lost his life, and again, we don't know what's in we don't know what's going to be on the video. It's going to be a combination of. Oh, I am. I'm watching it.
I'm good.
I'm watching it, and from what Ben Crump said, who is the attorney that the family has hired to speak on their behalf, he mentioned that it is reminiscent of Rodney King in the 1991 beating. And there's also, I think I also heard a report from one of the sources who saw the footage, that while not all the officers may have participated in the beating, the fact that they did not intervene in this situation is also an issue. And so that speaks to culture. And that speaks to, you know, these officers feeling like they have this authority to be aggressive. And I think that's why us as human beings, Black people, white people, individuals, always have this negative interaction with law enforcement. And, you know, that's not to say everyone in law enforcement is that way, because I have had positive interactions with law enforcement, and I respect authority, and I want police around, but I also, you know, understand that it's important for us to police ourselves. And if we taught the police de-escalation tactics, right? If we had officers intervene in situations that wasn't just so aggressive, you know, we seen the young man in Los Angeles, California, that was having a mental health crisis. And rather than dealing with him from a mental health standpoint, they tasered him over 4 or 5 times with 50,000 voltage tasers. And he went into cardiac arrest and died. He was a teacher here in DC, right here in Southeast, and was teaching some of the kids in my neighborhood. And so when you think about that, it's like, why are we not positioning ourselves to have positive interactions with law enforcement? And how does a traffic stop end in a loss of life? It heightens the situation so much more, especially because now we have so much, we can see it, right? And the Rodney King beating, even though that joint, it's just so happened to be on camera, the world was not posturing the same way. And so on the tail end of George Floyd, I think the world is no longer going to sit back and say that's okay. Like, this shit is not okay. And to Darnell's point, I think tomorrow might be off the hook, and I will stand in solidarity with protests. If it's all bad, I'm gonna be outside marching. I'm gonna be outside with my signage. I'm gonna be out there knocking and saying that it's not right.
And just as a personal aside, like, and I'll say this, and I know I'm not the only one. I'm not the only Black man that's had a negative interaction with police, right? I got my ass beat 7 years ago by police, and the officer that attacked me was Black. because this is
Oh
Atlanta,
yeah,
right? Over 60% of the police force in APD are black, right? So the officer
yeah.
that beat
It
my
gives that in
ass,
DC too, bruh.
right, and the person that pulled him off of me was a white girl, his white officer companion, right? Was
I
like,
believe it.
okay, you've done enough. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Wait a
Hold
minute.
on, JC, pause. That's a great thought. What you just said is a great thought. It took another officer to say that's enough. Think about how many officers don't feel like they have the authority to say that to their superior officer,
Right.
to be like, yo, chill. Like, that's not right. Like,
Right.
the police officers are not even policing themselves.
Right.
Because
Like,
if we see this tape tomorrow and not all 5 officers are being involved in the physical attack of Mr. Nichols, what we're going to see is that they stood by and didn't do anything, and that's just as bad.
reminiscent of George Floyd. Like, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't,
Absolutely.
everybody didn't jump in. It was just the one guy. But it's the fact that
Right.
everybody stood around and watched it. It's like,
And as people of authority, but when you have that badge, you have to say, hey, listen, pull your fellow officer to the side and say, chill, man. Even if we as citizens don't, maybe you don't want us to see that, like to see you check your fellow officer. However, find a way to do it, because that's not cool.
yeah.
So,
And we're rolling into our next story.
we are rolling into our next story. We're going to move on. We're definitely going to move on. In fact,
You want to take a break?
I do want to take a break, but we can roll into the Cop City Atlanta story real quick, because that's just right on topic. Let's roll into that. So Cop City goes national, you guys. This was, and correct me if I'm wrong, JC, this was an activist that lost his life, and
Correct.
there was some protests that came out of this. Just trying to pull up my notes, but in fact, JC, take over this topic. Tell us about this situation in Atlanta, because it happened right where you are.
Right. I actually, I used to live not too far away from it. Actually, I didn't even know this place existed. I've seen it in music videos, picture shoots. It's a place called the Old Atlanta Prison Farm. It was a former plantation, and it became a jail. Jail shut down. The building in the area became dilapidated, and so people went, they did graffiti, stuff like that. It's technically private property. It's municipality. It's not the city of Atlanta. It's in the county of DeKalb, but it's not Decatur City. So it's unincorporated DeKalb County, and it is owned by the state of Georgia, which is why it was okayed, because there's been a bunch of legislation and litigation and so on and so forth. That area was actually slated to be a public park, and part of the land was owned by, I'd have to pull up the notes to see, but some rich studio owner. He did a trade with the state of Georgia and Atlanta police, and they were like, he's like, I'm going to give you some of this land for X amount of dollars, you'll give me something. And that effectively X'd out any and all political recourse that the residents of that neighborhood and the residents of DeKalb County had to veto it, right? So it circumvented everything. And now we have this. Whenever I read this story, I'm traumatized because I see Chop. I see Chop redo.
Right.
I see Chop in Atlanta. Like, I live Chop. A lot of y'all that watch this and know me from Seattle and Chop. And so, like, this is very, very extremely similar to Chop. And I'm just like, I can't. The young person that lost their life, they called him Tortuguita, or Little Turtle, or called them Tortuguita because they're non-binary. It's just a sad case, and I was surprised to hear about it because there had been a protest not too long ago in downtown Atlanta. Buildings were knocked out of the. It's
Wells
not the
Fargo.
headquarters. Yeah, the Wells Fargo. They set
on fire.
Yep, they set police cars on fire as well, and the funniest part about it is when you read through the story, you find out that the people that were arrested, 90% of them are not from Atlanta. They're not even from Georgia. They're from other
They're
places. And I'm like,
out-of-state activists.
I've seen this
Yeah.
before. I've seen this
Right.
before. I've heard the song. I don't like it. I don't like it.
And so let me ask you this. So are they outraged because this land is being used as a police training facility, or it's slated to be used as a police training facility? So now they've occupied the land?
Yes. So part of the outrage is that the actual residents of that community were promised the park, and now that park is being stripped from them, and it's being replaced with a police training facility, literally right in their neighborhood. That's part of the outrage. The second part of the outrage is, of course, if you are anti-police, if you are anti-militarization of police, of course you don't want this either, right? And so it's the perfect kind of storm of, even if you were a conservative, even if you were a moderately conservative person who is in favor of the police, you want green space. You want a place to take your kids to go to the park, right? You don't want this training facility, gunshots, noise, all times of the night, whatever. You don't want this in your backyard. And if you're, like I said, if you're anti-police and you believe in defunding the police and demilitarization of the police, you don't want this either. So it's like a weird thing where everything kind of aligns. And the death of this young person is the spearheading of it. Like the police, the government officials or the city officials can no longer like turn a blind eye to it. Because the whole entire situation
goes away. Yeah,
exactly. Because the whole entire situation, where when we had the death of Rashard Brooks here in Atlanta, and we had all of these protests, and the mayor at the time, Kiki from the West Side, she, I can't remember her real name. I'm just being Kiki from the West Side. Keisha something. She wasn't that great of a mayor, to be honest. But
what's her name?
Keisha, somebody.
Don't worry about it. I'll look it up.
Kiki from the West Side. Yeah, Kiki from the West Side. So when that happened and there was a wave of support, there was the blue flu, where like 40-50% of the police officers on the APD force actually called out, right? And so the police had promised if anyone stood in the way of the building of this facility, they would do that again. And so here we have where all of the government officials, we okaying it, we're just kind of gonna look the other way, so on and so forth. But now that someone has died, and now that we have national attention on the city for this, there's you can't look the other way anymore. And so that's why we're here now. That's why the story is a thing, and that's why I am having post-traumatic stress syndrome about CHOP. I'm like, I don't even want to go near there. I don't want to drive near there. I don't want no parts of it. I don't want no parts of it, man.
Thank you, Darnell. Keisha Lance Bottoms.
Thank you, Kiki from the West Side. Thank you, Kiki.
So, listen, let's take a quick break. I mean, again, this police culture and protests and all of this. I mean, we're gonna see what it gives tomorrow, you guys. We're going to see it. It's going to hit the airways early, so we'll see what happens. But stay tuned. You're watching Clapback Culture.
Will you marry me, baby? Yeah. Let me put this on you.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Trey Holiday. We're bringing back Black Love When We Met. That's right. We need something to warm all of our hearts and to elevate love once again in our communities. We want y'all to go to whereweconverge.com/Black Love so y'all can nominate your favorite couple for the next rendition of this show with me as the host. Let me sit down and have them on my couch and share how their love can inspire us all. Make sure y'all go and get your nominations in today, and be on the lookout for Black Love When We Met coming at you on Converge Media very soon.
Pacific Northwest Ballet unveils Giselle, ballet's classic tale of romance, betrayal, and immortal love. The New York Times calls it a triumph, comparable to an epic film. This stunning production is touched by magic. Order tickets now at pnb.org.
All right. Welcome back to Clapback Culture. Okay, let's go ahead. I'm going to move this show along because clearly JC and I talk too much, but we're having such great conversation that it's hard to get all of our topics. But I want to talk about this viral situation that happened with our girl Beyonce, the Queen Bee.
Yes.
LGBTQ fans, the organization, the movement, are coming after Beyonce for her performance in Dubai, calling it an anti-LGBT country. And basically, they're coming at her head for saying, why would you drop this album and perform in an anti-LGBT country? Like, what's that giving, sis? Like, you're out there getting your money. It is said, it is alleged that the Queen Bee got $23 million for her performance. Excuse me, $24 million. And they're literally outraged. Like, can pull up the tweet, Cuddy. What does the tweet say? So I wanted to bring this story for debate. I'm putting this story on the docket. Do y'all think Beyonce is a hypocrite for performing in Dubai? She took that money even when she knows how homophobic the country is. What do y'all think? Was she wrong? And is it, should the LGBT community be coming after her for this?
So as a member, albeit whether I want to be or not, of the LGBTQI element of P plus negative sign community, I would just like to say that I did not see anybody that was black saying this online. I'm gonna be real 100. Like, a bag is a bag, a check is a check. I'm not gonna turn if somebody offers my happily gay ass $24 million.
$24 million, dude.
I'm be on that goddamn stage shucking and jiving. I don't know what you mean. So, but the other thing, T.S. Madison actually brought up a good point.
Okay.
Y'all hypocrites, because y'all ain't gonna say nothing when she go to perform in Texas, when she go to perform in Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida. Y'all ain't gonna say that y'all gonna buy tickets and y'all gonna go see the show. So I need everybody that is not of the black or brown, because once again, mainly black people. I've seen a couple anyway. I need everybody to have that same energy in Texas. I need everybody to have that same energy in Louisiana. I need everybody to have that same energy here in Georgia. I need y'all to have that same energy here.
Yeah.
Over there.
I think, number one, Beyonce is a huge advocate and ally for all communities. Let's just start there. Like, you cannot come for the queen in terms of race, social justice, sexual, anything. You can't come for her. In fact, when she does feel like she's even a little bit wrong, she goes in and fixes that shit ASAP. ASAP. So for her to perform in Dubai for billionaires and, presidents and all of these like huge people, guess what? She is still an entrepreneur that has to make her money and feed her family. $24 million is a lot of money for one show. And it's a lot of money for us to even be thinking about. Like, I'm a little guy sitting in DC, like, wow, 24 million would change my life. 24 million in a pot for Beyonce for one show is probably paying her mortgage for the year. Like, that's nothing to her. Do you know how many people she employs? Do you know how many people in the LGBT community She is paying to be dancing for her, producing her videos, producing her shows, choreography. She is employing people, everybody. Like this is like, she is not discriminating against anybody. And I just felt like this was such a reach. Like it was such a reach. In fact, I think you're right that a lot of Black folks were looking at this like, no, we're not jumping on this movement.
Bro,
like,
we're not jumping. It's $24 million.
Relax. And I'm sure Beyonce somewhere looking at social media just like that, like, really? Come on, like, you're gonna come at me because don't nobody say nothing when it becomes to anti-Blackness or anti anything else, right? The United States is one of the most racist countries in America. So are we gonna protest the fact that she's performing here?
We wrote the book. We literally wrote the book. We wrote the book so good that Nazis and South Africa copied us as far as racism and oppression is concerned. So I don't want to hear it. Y'all be doing too much. Look in the mirror.
It is.
What you doing?
Come on. It was such a reach. It was such a reach, JC. And there was also a story that I stumbled upon. I forgot to tag it, but I'll share a little bit of information from it. But there was some outrage against some activists, and I'll just say some activists, because clearly this is kind of following along the same lines of like, I hate to say the LGBT, because it's not everybody. It's just a group of like some people who, it's probably 5 people in their fucking gamer chairs, like, yeah, we're gonna protest this today. But they're outraged that that so much so that they want Aretha Franklin's song "Natural Woman" removed from Spotify and Apple because it's offending transgenders.
It's not. I mean, let me just say this again. It's not. It's really not, though. It's not. It's the white trans women, Karens. Y'all are now officially known. Y'all aren't Karens. Y'all are going to be Caitlins. Okay, because this is exactly who this is. And I'm noticing a trend. Why are we picking Black women, alive and dead icons to have this discussion about? I know plenty of non-binary Black folk or brown folk. Ain't nobody never said nothing about that song. Right. And then there was something that came out that said, after all of the backlash, of course, and people being like, have y'all lost y'all ever living goddamn minds? Saying, oh no, it was a joke. It was a hoax. We didn't mean, like, no, you said it and you meant it. You just like, y'all doing too much. And the thing that I hate about this is I saw the comments on different things, and in our community, right, there's not a strong delineation between queerness and Blackness, and we do not all share the same house. We are in the same house with different rooms, right? Different floors even. And it's like, I saw people saying, oh, that's all they want, this, and now they want that, and the next thing. And I'm like, no, I don't know no Black trans or non-binary people that have an issue with that song or Aretha Franklin. It's Aretha. Like, that's not us. That's not your people. That's them over there. And I'm like, I saw that and I was like, I'm not even clicking on this story because I'm like, it must be clickbait. And then I kept seeing it and I was like, oh, this is real. White trans women have lost their goddamn minds. That's exactly what I said because I already know who it is. It's not us. It's nobody that looks like us. So no.
I actually never thought about that. Both of these we're critiquing 2 incredible Black women icons.
Legendary. And I'm
why
like, that's
are
not a coincidence.
Why are we coming for our gold? Like, I'm not coming for Beyonce. I'm not. And I'm damn sure not coming for the original Queen Aretha Franklin. Like, we're just not doing that. And I think both of these were a clear reach. And I think it does water down real issues that come up for people in the LGBT community, because it makes cisgender folks or just straight folks who don't really know stuff be like, man, I ain't getting behind that. Like, they always asking for something. It's always something. And when we promote this kind of stuff in media, it's like, come on. Like, another thing too is like, we can't be outraged about everything. can we not be outraged about everything, you guys? Like, can we just take a sit back and be like, some of
Y'all
this
just
stuff
be
just
bored.
it is what it is.
Y'all just be bored.
What it
Like
is.
y'all just be bored sitting at home. Like who sits at home, listens to an Aretha Franklin song, album, anything, and the first thought on their mind is, I'm mad because she said natural woman. Seriously? Like this is Aretha Franklin. Like this is the literal queen of soul. And this is your thought.
You want to, yeah, like you don't want to. Maybe you should use it as a song for empowerment to feel like a natural
woman.
Aren't it? Because isn't that the argument anyway? Isn't a trans woman basically saying that they feel naturally a woman?
Like a woman. Yeah. So I'm again, this is not a colored argument. This was not a colored argument. This was not a colored point. Neither of these points were brought up by anyone that looks like you or me. And I was like, yo, bro, the Caitlins are tripping out here right now, bro. Like the Caitlins are doing.
You're hilarious. I never thought about that. That's actually super funny.
Karen's and Caitlins.
All right. Well, I thought that was a good topic. We have room for one more topic, and I want to talk about Bethune-Cookman real quick. So Ed Reed, Hall of Famer. Okay, he is picking up on the heels of Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. And he is, he's a Pro Football Hall of Famer. I think he played for the Baltimore Ravens, right? Baltimore Ravens. And he was slated to take a job at Bethune-Cookman University, which is an HBCU out in Florida, y'all. But he's being ousted after, this video that went viral on social media where he was talking about the unclean conditions on campus. He was talking about how dirty the office was and trash all over the campus. Like he kind of went a little bit ham in the video. Well, the school officials are like, yeah, we're good off you. We're not going to give you that contract and rescinded the contract. But the students are backing him and saying, actually, he's right. This school is trash. There's trash everywhere. We ain't had no hot water for 2 weeks. These buildings are this and that. And we want Ed Reed to come and be the coach for our football division because we want we want this power to come to our school and help to infuse some capital into our school. In a YouTube interview with Roland Martin on Monday, some of the football players even alleged that they had to share helmets because the program lacks so much funding. Can you imagine? You have a college scholarship to go to play football for Bethune-Cookman University, and you are sharing a helmet because the program doesn't have enough money to buy everybody basic equipment. Come on. Somebody like Ed Reed going to that school is going to change the trajectory of that program and ultimately change the lives of the students who participate in that program. So the former safety is not wrong in calling them out. Perhaps he shouldn't have said it out loud on social media before he signed his contract. But he is saying, listen, I didn't come here to bash anyone. I absolutely want to take this job. The school, it posted a statement on their website, JC, and they're just like, listen, we understand the facility needs upgrades. We already have plans for this. And our students are using this as a moment to amplify this message. And we support our students, but we're already going to get this stuff done.
So apparently the students have been complaining about this and nothing's changed. And that's the issue. Like I saw pictures. I'm talking about it's mold everywhere in those buildings. Like and it's so moldy that it molds the clothes, it molds people's bed sheets, it's mold on the wall, it's mold. And as a person that went very briefly to an HBCU, unfortunately, these are oftentimes issues that I think we have to deal with. And it's kind of like one of those things where you when you ask why is it, oh, that's just the way it is, bro. Like, and that's not acceptable. Especially if I'm paying you $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
Excuse me? And I gotta sleep in mold Like I have to open my windows in Florida when it's hot in the summertime because the AC not working. I don't have hot water. There's rats and roaches running through the building. Like, what are you talking? Like, this is not acceptable. Like, this is not okay, right? And Ed Reed called out the culture of corruption and where's this money going, embezzlement, all of these things, and then suddenly it's like, oh yeah, we wanted you, but not so much anymore, right? And I'm just curious to see what happens next. I'm really curious to see what happens next. I'm really, really curious to see what happens next.
I feel like I wish Ed Reed hadn't said anything so soon, because he could have definitely been a catalyst to help change some of those things and been like Deion Sanders to bring in his own kind of people to help bring funding into the school. If you have a winning athletic program, you're going to get more money for the school. Like, that's just how it is. I mean, colleges are businesses, and Bethune-Cookman is a private school. However, I think Ron DeSantis definitely infused, I think, $17 million worth of funding into the school, despite the fact that it was private, because it was an HBCU. And I think they did like some programs. So I guess shout out to Governor DeSantis for the one time in his life.
That makes two good things he's done in term. Two good things. 17 million in Bethune-Cookman and financial literacy in schools. That exactly two. That's it. That's all you get.
Exactly two things. We're gonna give him he's still in the negative, but we're gonna give him those two. But to your point, when I heard about this, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't like, oh yeah, like this ain't true. Like I was thinking, like, yeah, I know it's raggedy, because in my mind I'm thinking all HBCUs are raggedy. Like,
raggedy, right? Damn, yeah. Right. And like we all know that. So it's like, yeah, them kids not lying. But
yeah, it's like it's definitely given that, but but you just know it's in the hood. It's just like, it's gonna be a little. It's like staying at that cousin's house. It's like, they got roaches, but it's so much fun that you keep going, and the cooking is good, the atmosphere is good, and you like, I know they got roaches. You're gonna see a couple, like you're gonna see the mice, and everyone just pretends like it's not there. Like
Cuddy said, it's normalized. Yes, it is. Sadly, but truly, it's definitely normalized. But to counter to, he said it's part of the HBCU experience. That's a damn shame.
That is the truth. It's a part of growing up in an HBCU.
But if I'm Ed Reed, I don't want to do this, right? I don't want more money to come to the school. I don't want to bring more money to the school for nothing to change. But what are y'all doing? Hey, I bring $3 million to the school, and then all of a sudden, all the faculty got new cars. The faculty buildings have AC. The faculty buildings get their mold clean. But what about my kids still don't have helmets? My kids still don't have, like, what are we doing about that? Like, if I'm Ed Reed, I'm happy he did it before he signed, right? Because it just brings attention to the school. Like, they're in hot water now. Like, they're going to be in hot water for a long time to come. Like, no more money is going to come to the school until they do the things that they're supposed to do. Heads are going to roll now, and that's what needs to happen. Honestly, that's what needs to happen, and it's more than just Bethune-Cookman.
Hell yeah. It's super critically important, though, that we do have Black universities being held to a higher standard in terms of cleanliness and the look and feel, because what we do know and what research has always showed us is that when you have poverty and it's attached to, like, if you look in poverty-stricken communities, they're oftentimes dirty. And it's because those communities don't even understand, they don't even understand to have that pride, right? Like sometimes I look at the bottom of my street and I'm like, golly, like there's so much trash everywhere. Like when you live in an area where there's trash everywhere, you get used to it, but you're not gonna do more to make sure that it looks better. Like you act better when things look better. Like if you walk into $1 million home, you gonna get some act right. You're gonna be like, oh, you ever been to somebody's house? You be like, should I take my shoes off?
Right. Yes.
Like,
yes.
Where can I sit? You
Yes.
naturally roll in, your behavior changes with your environment. And we need to create environments in which individuals are going to say, you know what? Pick that up, throw that in the trash, put some clothes on. Don't walk around campus with your bonnet on. Like, put some pants on, because the pajamas are not giving in class today. Like, that's not what it gives. So if we're in an environment where all those things are not celebrated or just accepted, and to some things it is going to be a part of the HBCU experience, but we got to move beyond that and do better.
Right.
Mold in our classrooms and in our dorms should not be a part of the HBCU experience. We should have higher standards for HBCUs and in those in other universities, so that we can up the ante a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because when we have better, we do better. Like, we're never gonna be able to move beyond that if we don't at least have that nice environment to kind of manifest those things. So that's our show, y'all. 11:05. We're a little bit over, so we appreciate y'all hanging in there with us. JC, when you're not here, where can they find you?
You can always find me, your friendly neighborhood Negro, at the OVT Network, at the Oscar Victor Thomas Network, and my personal Instagram is JC from the OVT. So make it simple.
All right. And you guys know where you can find me. You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Treasure of JULES. Please pull up, follow me, send me a message. Let me know what you want to talk about in our upcoming shows. Speaking of which, we are going on vacation. JC and I are going to take a hiatus next month because we want to really, really pump in our programming. So we want to take a break. We're going to take that time off, and we are going to work together to really come up with some great content for this show to bring back to you for the next quarter. So we are really looking forward to that. We have some really, really good ideas, and we want to make this show better, you guys. It's a lot of transition. This is this season right now to be more disciplined, to be more proactive, and we are going in at the right foot. So for the month of February 1st, the 8th, the 14th, and the 22nd, I believe, all of February, that's every Wednesday. Every Thursday in February, we will not be here. We're going to pick up the first week in March. We're going to come back with some new stuff, some new content, some fresh episodes. We're going to be looking good, smelling good, and talking that trash once again. So until then, be blessed, hang tight with us, and we'll see you in 1 month.
See you guys later.